Welcome to the Encore Audio Archives YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. I've uploaded hundreds of talks here that I've recorded at meetings in West LA, and I've also recorded conventions starting in 2013. I've got a bunch of those up. And Walt and Mary Murray, the original owners of Encore Audio Archives, started the company in the 80s, and Walt recorded Joe and Charlie's and a bunch of stuff down in Vista, California. My sobriety date is June 20th of 1994. I hope you find something you like, so please like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below. If you want to hear something that I don't have or that you don't see, I'll see that I get it. Anyways, take care and have a great day if you want to.
I'm a Craig Shoemaker, alcoholic, and I feel really great today. And I've strung together a bunch of great days. It's been a really good year, and I don't mean just 20 days of a year. I just mean it's just been like this last year has really culminated into something. I have 18 years of sobriety, and I hope it doesn't take you that long to be this happy. I am really happy and truly grateful. I'm only here to be of service because I was asked by Jerry to speak, and thank you for asking me. And otherwise, I would love to be at my house. My son tonight came home very proud. He learned how to do armpit farts, and that's what I left that to be here with you. And I got to tell you, I would much rather be there. But it was really funny. And he was so proud, and I was so proud of him. Because just like Dad, and just like Dad, the alcoholic, he couldn't stop doing it. He absolutely, every commercial break, he was watching some Disney movie, every commercial break, he just started farting that arm, and he wouldn't stop. I just go ahead. You know, I'll get it when he gets it. But, I've learned in here, I was just sitting here going, don't be nervous. There's nothing to be nervous about because all you got to do is just keep one thing in mind, that's be of service. And that's something that's so important in here is just carry the message, and it's more than in these rooms, carrying the message everywhere. Practice these principles in all our affairs. It's so funny, I'm involved in business with a bunch of guys up here in the front row, and we are having so much fun. But one of the fun things we have we have these defects of character that we get to check each other out on. And it's really great to be surrounded by alcoholics in recovery that really have your best interest at heart. And I have their best interest and they have my best interest, and we just sort of get to nudge each other and have some fun with it. Greg says to me yesterday, he goes, "Here's a rule for you." He says, never talk for more than 2 minutes. He says, whenever you talk to anybody, stop at 2 minutes. I'll have a fucking alarm for you if you need it. And I practiced that today. I actually, because we're like bosses of people and stuff, and I started talking to one of the employees, and I actually went, "Okay, your 2 minutes is up." And that's it. I stopped it right there because I have a tendency to over-explain things and try to control things. And it's one of my issues and that they get to point out. And but, all of us have got control shit. I mean, right, Jerry? No, I don't mean you. I don't mean you in particular, but don't we all? No, we do. We just have it. I mean, it's like, the letting go is, we get a daily reprieve here. It's not something that, we come in with control issues. We think we can control our drinking, but we find out we're powerless. We're powerless over not only alcohol, but I find I'm powerless over people, places, and things. And like I said, I got to carry this message everywhere. I'm a sober member of Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm proud of it now. I wasn't always proud of it. I was ashamed to come in here. I didn't want to be called an alcoholic. I thought that was a defeat. I didn't want to be a loser. It was a loser. It was a disease. You're telling me I got a disease. Don't tell me that shit. I've got control over this, and I really tried my best to prove you wrong and to say that I was in control. I remember the powerless thing really got to me. I go, what do you mean I'm powerless? And, what do you mean I got to turn it over to God? Is God like a puppet master and I'm a marionette, pulling the strings? I go, what does that mean? It took me a while to really understand what that means. I got to take the action and turn results over to a power greater than myself. I take right action now. I try to. And if I don't, I've got them to tell me when I don't. And I've got a personal inventory which tells me when I don't. And I can take a pause, which the big book talks about. I came in, I don't want to say kicking and screaming, but I didn't really, I came in back in 1987, the beginning of 1987, and almost like a dare. I was dating someone, and I went and got her a beer, and I'm getting cell phone heckled over here already. But anyway, everybody has music on their cell phones. Get an iPod. It's better music. Anyway, it's rather than listening to anyway. I came in and I went and to get her a drink, and she says, I brought her a beer, and she says, I don't drink. And I said, what do you mean you don't drink? Are you on solids? And I go, so I tried to force the beer on her, and she goes, no, I don't drink. I'm an alcoholic. And I said, oh, you're an alcoholic. Well, maybe I should get you another one. And I didn't really get that a beautiful young woman could be an alcoholic. I didn't understand that either. I didn't really get that concept. An alcoholic to me was Mr. Plunkett across the street with a red bulbous nose and a brown bag that he drank out of. And my mom said he's an alcoholic. And all I know about AA meetings was they were at this little grocery store in our hometown. And all I knew about that was I would pass by as a kid. My mom said that's an AA meeting, and I'd see, just smoke billowing out of the place. That's all I knew is I knew alcoholics smoked, and that was my perspective. And I knew my uncle was an alcoholic, but I also didn't get that. I really didn't understand it. I didn't have a comprehension of it, of what that meant. So she says I'm an alcoholic, and she says I'm sober, and then I'm just saying, oh, okay. And I drank her beer and my beer, and we went on with the date, and then she went on to tell me about Alcoholics Anonymous, and I sort of almost like I had thought about it a bunch of times in the past. I remember one time, I remember in reflecting back on like those messages that we constantly get, but you don't see them because we're trying to be in control and we're trying to continue our drinking. And I did one of those, it was like an outdoor fair, and they had this iridologist. They read inside of your eyes. They can read what's going on with your insides. And I'll never forget, I went up and paid her $1 or whatever she was, or whatever it was, and she looked at me, and she looks at me in the eyes, she goes, why do you do that to yourself? And I went, and my buddies were with me. That's not good when your buddies from Philly are there. And I go, what? And she goes, you're destroying your liver. And I said, how? And she said, you're probably drinking too much. And I said, I don't think so. And I wanted my buck back because it was not true. It was not true of me. It can't be true of me. I can't be an alcoholic. So anyway, I went to a meeting with her, and she took me to a meeting, and I remember that first meeting like it was yesterday, and it was 18 years ago, almost 19 years ago now. And I remember the speaker, and his name was Craig, to top it all off. His name was Craig, and he kind of looked like me. That was also kind of weird. He had brown hair, 6'2", receding hairline, same thing. I'm going, wow, that's weird. And he can be one too. And he's the speaker, and he started talking about other things other than alcohol, because these are our lives. It's not just about alcohol, it's about living. It's about learning how to live. And he talked. I'll never forget. He talked about masturbation. I went, wow, I relate to that too. and it wasn't. I was about to go to the next sentence and say, and I heard everything I needed to hear, but that doesn't sound right when I said masturbation. But I heard everything I needed to hear that night in saying that I'm an alcoholic. And one of the most scary moments for me, I'll never forget this also, it was one of those where you have to go around the room and everybody identifies. And I will never forget that feeling that it was coming down the row. You know, it's going, it's there, and the build-up, and the build-up, and the build-up. Oh my God, it's coming to me. And I have no balls to say pass, or, I could not do that. And then I went, do I say the last name? Some are saying their last name. This is confusing me. Some are saying they're a drug addict. I'm that too. I didn't know what to do, and they really screwed me up for my first moment in AA. And so you talk about ego, like anybody would ever remember that night besides me. I'm thinking, oh no now. Who's going to know? And so anyway, it came to me, and I just remember getting that off my chest for the first time. That was the day. That was the big day for me. Not that I stayed, but it was the big day for me. I went out. A lot of times when I'll share about stuff of what not to do if you're a newcomer. So I'll give you a few of those of what I did. I went right to the 12th step. I reversed it. I did the dyslexic 12 steps. I didn't get this God thing. I never dug that. I was not a God guy. I was brought up with 3 different religions, very confusing, and not into religion. I was like, hey, that's what I thought it was, by the way. And just so if you're new, just understand it's a spiritual program, not a religious one. And that was pointed out to me many times, thank God. And so I started with the 12th. I couldn't deal with myself. And everything that was going on with me. So I started this. I started to think that I was the man. Hey, I got this now. And I have like days of sobriety, and I thought I should have been the speaker. And I bet you there's a few you out there right now thinking the same thing. I would take notes, and I go, oh, I'll steal that, and I'll use that one. That sounds like a good one. I can use that. I like that. And then, so I went back to my hometown of Philadelphia. I had just moved out here not that long before that, and I went back and I went to all my friends that I grew up with, and I said, "You're all alcoholics, You all need AA." I needed AA. I needed it. The hell with them. And one of the things I've learned in here is stay the course. Just stay the course. Just stay with me. Work on me and stop taking other people's inventory. It's my own personal inventory, not anyone else's. It's my own personal amends and not anyone else's. It's my personal contact with a higher power, not anybody else's. Try to love people that resent me. Try to love people I resent. Contrary action. It's about me. I got to get right with this. It's not about anybody else. Not about my mom. Oh my God, I thought it was about my mom at first. And I have a joke that these guys like. That I said in the beginning. My friend says, my sponsor actually. He said to me, treat your mother like a newcomer. And I said, you want me to sleep with my mother? And shut up. Relax with the O. Oh, like you're all moral and shit. Don't judge me. I was a newcomer. 18 years, I'm still saying it. Anyway. Relax. Says in the big book, we are not a glum lot. I just got a book somebody gave me. It's called The Glum Lot Letters. Yeah, it's a pretty cool book, but that's something I've learned in here. Man, I came in so serious. Everything was so damn serious. I had to work that shit out with my mother right away. And, and she had to respond a certain way. I told her I loved her. She needs to say it back right now, and all that stuff. I remember making amends to my sister. I made amends to my sister, and I go, it just, again, not the way to do it. I said, I'm sorry, if I was a bad brother. Now what do you got for me? you know. Man, I got to tell you, there was a bunch of ways not to do it. I was rudderless, guideless. I wouldn't go with a sponsor for a while. And then I ended up going out a few times that year. One of my last benders was I promised to sire a child for somebody. And that you should have heard the alcoholic planning on that one at a bar over in Venice. She had it pinned down to, she liked my jeans and this other guy. And I said to her, and I'm like drunk, and I'm going, well, why can't you just put a spoke or sperm in a beaker and spin it? And this is what I really thought. And I'm going, you just spin it, and then you don't know whose kid it is. I said, I'll be happy to do that for you. Yeah. And the next day I went to a meeting. And I did. I went to a meeting the next day. I was you know, it's fun. I can tell you stories about drinking right before I stopped drinking, the slip year, and current stories, and I'm still insane. They talk about restorative sanity. I have insanity bursts almost every day. And they're just a little better. They're just a little better after 18 years. I can actually listen when he says to me, stop after 2 minutes. I can actually go, okay. You know, and we actually had a moment yesterday where we had a conflict, and I'm not a big conflict guy. I'm not a good guy that can stay steady with my higher power during a conflict. If I think that somebody's coming after me, I am going to kill them. You know, I mean, I am going to, and we had a guy that was, I walked into the room, and Greg and I coached each other on the way over to this meeting that we knew we were having that was going to be a conflict due to us causing it. And we didn't say that, though. But anyway, so we knew that what was about to take place, somewhat knew what was good, but it was worse. It was worse. But going in and being guided by God and being guided by a fellow member of Alcoholics Anonymous with the same amount of sobriety and a brother in sobriety, we got to guide each other and kind of walk through this pain. It was painful. It was painful to be attacked like that. I walked in and said, I said his name, and then I said, and he stopped me right there. He goes, fuck you. And I said, I was just going to say, give me a hug. He goes, no hugs for you. Fuck you. And I went, all right. I'm thrown off a little bit. This is not going the way I want it to go, which is all of my life and all of my sobriety. It doesn't go the way I want it to go. It never happens the way I dream it out. The way I, plot it out like an outline, never. We're out at Act 1, done. So this was not going the way I wanted to, so I said, okay, man, you're the sober one in here, aren't you? That's what I kept saying to myself. You are sober. And I got to tell you, I was shaken. I was shaken because my instincts are this Philly guy that's going to reach across and grab him by the neck and hurt him. And because before he hurts me. And also hurt him because I don't want him to see how scared I am. And that's a way for me to do it, is to physically do something about this. I don't want you to see how scared I am. But I kept going, come on, man, come on, you can do this. And you know what? Beat by beat by beat, it just kept getting better and better, and struggle and pain. And you know what? A lot of it took humility, which the big book talks about constantly. It was so much about humility. I had to actually say I was sorry a bunch of times, painful, and I had to say I was wrong, and I wasn't. And a couple times I really don't think I was. Honestly, I've inventoried it. But I mean, it was really, really hard. But guess what happened at the end? I got that hug. And you know what? We walked out, and it's all good from there. We made a phone call after that, and it was a really good thing that happened, and it needed to happen. But we got to be examples of Alcoholics Anonymous, and that comes through. I got to work this damn program, and it's progress, not perfection. You know, the not perfection was how this thing was caused to begin with. Is I have a lot to do with how this thing happened, but I don't want to see that a lot of times. That's where inventory comes in. It's an inventory, and you get to this column. If you're not there yet, there's a column in the inventory that talks about my part in this resentment, my part in this. And that is so important to me to get to my part. Is how have I caused this? And we have to avoid confrontation, like it's the plague, right? Like it's the plague, and avoid it, and be centered in a higher power. Anyway, so I came in after I started drinking at like, well, my first drinks were like 3 and 4 years old. I was, my dad would come to visit, and it was a bonding moment for me. But again, I'm not an alcoholic because my dad left. I'm not an alcoholic because my mom doesn't love me. It's none of that. I'm just an alcoholic. I'm actually glad I am now because I have tools that were given to me that I was able to get through yesterday. I mean, that situation and this situation and every single situation, which used to baffle me. It's a promise that they give you in Alcoholics Anonymous. Situations used to baffle me on how to handle confrontation, how to handle a business, how to handle people, places, things, how to handle those things, finances. All of it baffled me. Came in poor, nothing, no skills, no life skills, and now it gets to be developed every day. So my dad, I bonded with him. I remember that booze, he called it a highball, and I had this highball, and I drank it with him, 4, 5, 6 years old, all that time he would come back, and I would always have some of his highball. But the big drinking started around 12 and 13 years old, babysitting jobs, a girl from my junior high or whatever was babysitting. I'd go over, hoping she'd pay attention to me. And we'd steal the booze out of the people's liquor cabinets and pour it into a big jug, and we called it, where I'm from, weasel piss. And it's the combination of every different kind of booze, and I would just close my nose, and I'll never forget that feeling that it gave me and the bravery that it gave me. And I remember wrestling with these girls. I couldn't believe it. They were wrestling me. I was so happy. I was. They would not wrestle me unless I was drunk. And I had all these episodes that that led me to Alcoholics Anonymous. I mean, it was alcoholic drinking. I did not drink like other people. I was the guy, the lampshade on the head drunk that always had to go I always had to be the ultimate. I had to take it further than everybody else. One time we stole booze, and my mom, they didn't know what to do with me. It was another one of they didn't know what to do with me. I've never had a cup of coffee in my life except for 9th grade. I was so drunk, they jammed it down my throat. And it was like everywhere. And I was like, ah, God. And I've never had one since. I think I have a bad memory or something, a bad sense memory. But they didn't know what to do with me, so they chucked me on a lawn and called my mother. And I'll never forget that. My mom comes to get me. She loads me in the car. And my sister, who's, by the way, is now in the program, but she's like younger, and she's like looking back at me. I'm like, ugh! And she was like looking back at me like, oh, he's in trouble. And my mom, took me to get my stomach pumped and everything. And I'll never forget, my mom is also just like, it's kind of we have a lot of family pathology that goes on, and one of them is blame everybody else. And I'll never forget her saying these words, "Who did this to you?" And being the blamer I am, I said, "Steiny!" I blamed my friend Steiny. Steiny was already home. He's not an alcoholic. He was already home asleep. I'm getting my stomach pumped. And Steiny did it. My mom called Steiny's mom at 4 o'clock in the morning. And she's there, "Well, Rob's asleep. Where's your son?" But anyway, I tried blaming everything for a long time. I tried blaming people when I was a newcomer. I just try not to do that now on a daily basis. Is I just know I'm an alcoholic and I got to take care of this shit. And this is how I take care of it. I go to meetings as much as I can. I work the steps as much as I can. Get a sponsor as much as I can. I be of service as much as I can. And a big one for me, the one thing that I have gotten in the last few years, the biggest message that I have gotten is how important getting a higher power is. And that one took a long time for me. An understanding of what a higher power is and how that works in my life. And that's the reason I'm happy today. And that's the reason I'm grateful today, is that it's guided by a higher power. I'm not great at any single element that I just named in AA. I'm not great at going to meetings. I don't go to as many meetings as a lot of people, but I'm not about comparing myself. I know that I've got a daily reprieve in this, and there's something I got to do every day. And here's the thing with Alcoholics Anonymous, there's always something to do. You can always be of service. You can always get on your knees and pray. You can always meditate. Lately, I've been doing a little better with the meditating and journaling. I've actually been doing journaling lately, which has led to inventories. A journal is an inventory for me. And it starts out, the journal usually starts out, it's something I'm pissed off about or something that's going on, and it always ends up to be my part and some form of turning it over. And it's a nice way to start my day. That's how I try to start my day, with that, or a little reading. I pick up a book, and like a spiritual book or something, just what's on my nightstand, and I just go, what's meant to be today? And that was the page I was supposed to read today, and it's always a message I'm supposed to hear. All the books are, all those spiritual books, they all have, they're not going to have a couple pages where they're off a little bit. Basically, it's all good. It's all something you can use. It's really good food for the day. That'll get me going. The more I do this stuff, the more I can handle the situations which used to baffle me. So the biggest thing that's happened for me lately is I've become who I'm supposed to become. And that's a big thing for me. I didn't come in here, if you're new, I didn't come in here for any of these reasons. I just came in at first I came in because I wanted to continue dating her, and then she ditched me because I was a newcomer. And but I came in, and my whole reason for being here, my whole reason for being sober in the beginning is so different than it is today. It's ever evolving now. And I'm just becoming the guy I really am. And not the guy, quite frankly, I drank a lot and I did a lot of drugs. I never, ever liked it. I didn't like it. I didn't like the taste. I didn't like being out of control. But I kept thinking the next one that I'll be like that guy. Because so many other people seemed like they had it together when they were high. Or I remember pot. I smoked pot thousands of times and I never liked it. All it did was heighten my self-centered fear, which we have. That's all it did, was made me, another word for that is paranoid. I mean, and my friends loved me being paranoid. They just loved it. They got a new play toy. Get him high, and then he's all boxed in. And I would freak out. They would, oh God, they were mean. They'd go, it's raining, and they'd spit on me. And I just had, every gang that I was in, I was always in a gang. I was always in some sort of gang. It was always sort of misfits, but not like really geekazoids, but not hip either. We were I was always a tweener gang. Even if I went away to college, I went away to college and I joined a fraternity. Talk about not being me. It is so not me. I swore I would never join a fraternity. I not only joined one, I joined it because they had beer. I mean, that's basically why I joined. And they had a room, and I was tired of the dorms, and I moved in while I pledged. No one in the history of college has ever done this. I joined just so I could drink, and this guy I knew, and he had a room there, and I went, oh, yeah, I'm gonna, and they had a whipping boy all the time. They would just yell, pledge! And then I'd go out and get him a beer, and we'd drink together, and then they beat the shit out of me with a paddle and whatever. And then I can't believe the stuff that I did to be a brother in this fraternity. I was talking about it the other day. This is disgusting. But they would actually make us drink to the point, and with drink like buttermilk and all this. They would make gourmet night. They would put like literally shit and mix it. And mix all this stuff and feed it to us until we'd puke into this bucket, this big trash can, and they called it the bucket of knowledge, and And all the parties, all the stale beer went there. When the pledges had to clean it up, put the beer in there, and the bucket of knowledge filled up all year long. And guess what? On Hell Night, they blindfold us and dip us head first in the bucket of knowledge. And that's the lengths I went to be an alcoholic. Oh, you're so judgmental. Oh, fine. Oh, you guys all came in here looking good, didn't you? Yeah, you never vomited. You never vomited. Yeah, you look just pretty. There's a lot of stuff like that. A lot of nudity. I ended up nude a lot. My last day drinking, in November 19th, 1987, nude again. Woke up nude. Would it be breaking anonymity if I said never mind. All right. I woke up next to, I just remember, oh my God, you know. I remember waking up and there was someone next to me. And that last night was kind of a reflection night of kind of a, it kind of is reflective of my drinking is I went back to Philadelphia again, come on you alcoholics, you know. And then they go, come on, where's my last name's Shoemaker. They call me Shoe. A lot of people call me Shoe. And they call this thing called the shoe zone, where you get sucked into the shoe zone, like the Twilight Zone. It means you're hitchhiking home from Alaska, nude. You know, usually, I mean, it always ended up like, I always knew where the after hours bars were. I knew where the Coke was. I knew where everything was. I was the man, you know, and knew all the velvet rope dudes. And so that was the last night. I sure enough, it started off with a beer. And then it went to, you know, harder stuff, found the dealer, and then woke up nude next to a woman. And that was it. I came back, humbly came back. I said, I got to get this shit. I really got to get what they're talking about. I must tell you, I must be honest, everybody gave me cards at first. They all gave me cards, and I threw them right out. But I still remember them. I still remember those people. I run into them still to this day. It's so beautiful. But I wouldn't listen. But I came back humbly, and I got a sponsor. I said, I need one of these sponsored things. A guy came up to me. I was a real panic-stricken guy, and he calmed me down. He just said, everything's going to be okay. And that's all I needed to hear at that moment. And he became my sponsor for 7 years and worked me through the steps. I didn't do that right. I didn't do it right, but I did it. And I gave him an inventory of every single moment of my life. This poor guy. I'll never forget him having to sit there and listen to me. I swear, I thought he had narcolepsy, but the fact is I was boring. I mean, I was just knocking him out. I mean, I just gave him everything. No big book, no columns, no nothing. I just went, you know, Mr. Ruddy kicked me off the baseball team, you know, and blah, 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 blah. He must have sounded like Charlie Brown's parents. Wah, 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 wah. And, but I did it, you know. And that's, if there's going to get a message tonight, it's just do it. Just do something for your sobriety, something for yourself. Something is always out there. And we don't do it perfectly. I mean, I remember when I went and I did the service. I was at central office answering phones. And, you know, I'm into my, you know, into that, I don't know if anybody can relate to this, into that sexual thing. You know, I had to have, you know, I was so sober that I wanted to have sex. So that didn't sound right. But anyway, I think you know what I mean. So this woman calls up on the phone, and I'm trying to be of service. Here I'm like, quote, being of service. She calls on the phone, and she says, I'm drinking right now, and I've got a gun, and she says, she starts banging the gun on the phone. She goes, that's a gun. You come over here and fuck me, or I'm going to shoot myself. And I said, and so this is a true story. I'm going to tell you. So now you got to understand. It's like this guy's going, be of service, be of service, and this one's going, servicer. Yeah, you got an opportunity here. No, send over a bunch of people and take her to a meeting. Fuck her. And because I'm in the throes of my horniness. So I'm trying to be of service. I'm just trying to tell you, I don't do this thing perfectly. You should have got another speaker, Jerry. You fucked up. All right. So anyway, so I did the right thing. I did not go. And let me tell you how sick we are. I told this guy the story, right? And I said, I took that paper with her number on and her address and I threw it in the trash. I swear to you, he went to central office to dig out her number. He was gonna go fuck her. Wow, we're sick. And he had multiple years sobriety. It's progress, not perfection. I made progress that day. Being of service for me, it takes other forms. It takes other forms other than going to central office and the traditional things and being treasurers and secretaries and stuff like that. Being of service to the world also, for me, works. I think that's how it was written in the big book. It's not just about being of service to fellow alcoholics, it's about being of service, carrying this message to the world. And formed my own nonprofit a few years ago. I dig it, you know? I love being of service. It's something, it's a nonprofit that I know about. It's something I know about. It's about laughter healing. And I have been blessed by being surrounded by laughter and great friends. It just warms me, you know, to be around it. And it really does heal, and it really makes us feel good. So we have this organization and get to watch people laugh and be well for at least that moment. And that's all we get is a moment at a time in here. You get a day at a time and a moment at a time. And those moments have just stacked up and stacked up and stacked up, these great moments of life. And I owe every bit of it to sobriety. You know, I am just loving my life right now, and it is just because of this. And further in my education, I drank myself out of college. I lied to you and everybody else for years. I put it on my resume, graduate from Temple University. I'm 18 credits short. It's a lie. But I don't have to lie anymore. I'm going to get my degree. And that's what I'm doing, one class at a time. You know? And that's what I'm doing. It's something that it's in religious studies, so I can learn more about the spiritual path that I'm on. 7 out of the 12 steps talk about something spiritual, something higher power. So it must be pretty important. So it's important to me. I'm going to wrap it up, Jerry, because I know if I go over, you're going to have some control issues. I love you, Jerry. I love you guys. I really do. I mean, there's so many great friends here. I really look out and I just see so many people that we've been trudging the road of happy destiny together for my whole sobriety. I've seen so many of you. It's great. I might not even know your name, but you know, hey, you give that look like, hey, I know you and I know you. It is great to see you here, that you keep showing up. And by the way, I also learned that just being here is of service. You got to understand that, because the person sitting next to you might need you to be there. They might need you in that seat. And that's being of service. It doesn't have to be the big, giant services. Don't need applause for it. That's one of my big pet peeves, by the way, in AA. I always felt like a mental patient. Like I went to the log cabin, they applaud for it. It's called outside beautification. I'm like, outside beautification. Isn't he great? The Dream Clean team. Aren't they great? There's 9 of them to clean this place up. I'm like, you know, you need like 20 of you? Go outside and clean the whole neighborhood. There's so many of you. Go be of service to the neighborhood. Look, that was a resentment, and I let it go. I'll never let that one go. I'll never let that one go. I won't. I won't let the applause thing go either. You know, for being of service. Now, that's not to say I'm about to walk off and you're not going to applaud. No. No. Look, I'm just really happy to be sober. I really, really, truly am. And, you know, I wish you to find the person that you really are. You know, I was a fake out there. Drinking was a fake, and doing drugs was a fake. Lying's a fake. Being somebody I'm not. I'm finally becoming the guy that I was meant to be all along. A sober guy, conscious contact with God, a friendly, kind person. You know, I like being kind. I don't have to be that mean guy that's going to go rip somebody's throat out because they threaten me. You know, now I can be loving to the person. It's such a better way to live. This is a much better way to live. If you're new, I swear to you, it is so much better of a way to live. And it's all right here if you want it. It works if you work it. That's what they say. And that's what I'll say. Thank you.
Sorry to interrupt your viewing. Taper Dave here. Just wanted to take a second to ask you to like and subscribe to my channel. And let me know if you like what you're listening. I've got some very good talks here, and this one's a great one. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Tell me what you think. Okay, this is how I prepare my drone for launching. I like to do it inside the cab of my truck so I'm not standing outside in the weather. To install the joysticks for control, up and down, right and left, powered on. I have an Android phone that I use to connect it to the drone with. And it's actually controlled through the iPhone, through an app. Oops, wrong way. It's actually controlled through the iPhone, or through this Android phone, through the app. It's actually controlled through the Android phone, through an app, and you connect it through this short connection right here.
Remote control connected.
Remote control's connected. So I pull out the drone. I have to extend the legs. Long legs extended first, then the short legs. Remove the gimbal protector. Set that aside, then power it on one short burst, then one long burst. I lay it down. So I have to go to calibrate. So the drone's not connected yet. It shows you here as this drone gets disconnected, even though the remote's powered on. So the drone has to establish it's connected. So I go into the app to calibration mode. First I'll calibrate the remote controller. Start calibration. Out, in, oop, out, in, up, down, and then this little wheel is to control the gimbal. So it's calibrated. Go to gimbal calibration, start calibration, and then it calibrates the gimbal. And if that shows up, the gimbal's moving all over the place. Changes, you can see it on the video. And I'm calibrated to take off. It's acquired 7 satellites at the moment. There are 26 satellites up in the sky, which it has to acquire before you can take off. So it's connected. It's got enough satellites. This is white. I can go to press this little arrow button, swipe right to take off, and it would start the motors if I slid this to the right. But I'll wait till I get outside. Don't want to do it inside.